They called us the Gemini Twins, even though we weren't related, Elias and I. We were forged in the crucible of a cracked pavement playground in Detroit, bonded by the kind of childhood trauma that acts like superglue for the soul. I was the quiet one, the observer. Elias was the fire, the charm, the manic energy that could light up a room or burn it to the ground. We did everything together. First cigarettes, first stolen beers, first heartbreaks. But as we clawed our way into our late 20s, the dynamic shifted. I found Sarah, a job in architecture, a future that looked bright and orderly. Elias stayed in the gray. He drifted between jobs, his charm turning brittle, his eyes growing a little too hollow, a little too intense. I should have seen the cracks. I should have noticed how his grip on my shoulder lingered too long, how he'd joke about Sarah being an interloper with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. But you don't question the ground you walk on, and Elias was my ground. So, when he suggested a weekend getaway to his grandfather's abandoned hunting lodge in the Upper Peninsula to celebrate my engagement, I agreed. It was to be our last hurrah as a duo, he said, a bachelor party for two. The drive up was 6 hours of heavy metal and nostalgia. Elias drove his battered Bronco, the engine roaring like a dying beast. As we crossed the Mackinac Bridge, the sky turned the color of a fresh bruise. The further north we went, the denser the trees became, swallowing the road. By the time we hit the dirt track leading to Blackwood Ridge, civilization felt like a dream I'd woken up from. "No signal out here, Alex," Elias said, tossing his phone under the dashboard. "Just us and the ghosts." He laughed, a dry, rattling sound. The lodge was a monolith of rotting timber and black windows, perched on the edge of a ravine that dropped into infinite darkness. It looked like it had grown out of the earth rather than being built upon it. Dead ivy strangled the porch columns. "Rustic," I muttered, feeling a cold prickle of unease trace my spine. "Pure," Elias corrected. He killed the engine. The silence that followed was deafening. No birds, no wind, just the ticking of the cooling engine and the heavy, oppressive weight of the pines watching us. We unpacked in silence. The interior smelled of pine sap, old dust, and something metallic, like copper pennies left in the rain. There was no electricity, just oil lamps that Elias lit with practiced hands. The shadows they cast were long and dancing, distorting his face into something sharper, older. We drank whiskey by the fireplace, the flames licking at the soot-stained bricks. That first night, the nostalgia turned toxic. Elias didn't want to talk about the future. He only wanted to dissect the past. He retold stories of our youth, but they were wrong, twisted. In his version, I was always the victim, and he was always the savior. He spoke of my fiancée, Sarah, not as a person, but as a disease infecting me. "She's changing your chemical makeup, Alex," he slurred, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "I can smell it on you. Domesticity, weakness. You're forgetting who we are." "I'm just growing up, Elle," I said, trying to keep my voice light. He slammed the glass down. It didn't break, but the sound was like a gunshot. "Growing up is a lie. It's just a slow death. We were supposed to be eternal." I went to bed early, locking my door, a flimsy hook and eye latch that felt ridiculous against the rising tide of dread in my gut. I slept fitfully, dreaming of wolves with Elias's eyes. I woke to the sound of scratching, rhythmic, wet scratching. It was coming from inside the wall behind my head. I sat up, breath pluming in the freezing air. The scratching stopped, replaced by a low, melodious humming. It was Elias. He was humming the lullaby his mother used to sing to us when we were hiding from his father. I opened the door. The hallway was a throat of darkness. "Elias?" No answer. I walked downstairs, the floorboards screaming under my weight. The front door was open wide, letting in the swirling snow. A storm had rolled in overnight. The Bronco was gone. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced my chest. I ran out onto the porch. The tire tracks were already filling with snow. He had left me. Now, that didn't make sense. I checked my pockets. My phone was gone. My wallet was gone. I went back inside, shivering, and that's when I saw it. The table. It was set for dinner. 2 plates. But in the center, where a chancery should be, sat a jar. Inside, floating in formaldehyde, was a human finger. It wore a ring. My engagement ring. I vomited. Violent, dry heaves that tore at my throat. It wasn't possible. Sarah was back in Detroit. She was safe. This was a prank, a sick, twisted psycho prank. "Do you like the appetizer?" The voice came from the shadows of the kitchen. Elias stepped out. He was wearing a butcher's apron over his clothes, stained with fresh, bright red. He wasn't holding a weapon. He was holding a remote control.
"Where is she?" I screamed, lunging at him. He sidestepped me with terrifying grace and clicked the remote. A static-filled image flickered onto a small battery-operated TV I hadn't noticed in the corner. It was a live feed, a dark room, a figure bound to a chair. Sarah. She was unconscious, her hand bandaged, blood seeping through the white gauze. "She's in the basement," Elias said softly. "Soundproof, very cozy." "I'll kill you," I whispered, the reality of the horror shattering my mind. "No, you won't, because we are the same, Alex. You can't kill me without killing yourself. Besides," he gestured to the TV, "I have the detonator. One wrong move, and the basement fills with carbon monoxide. She goes to sleep and never wakes up." He forced me to sit. He forced me to eat. Not the finger, God no, but a steak he had prepared. I chewed on ash and terror. He explained his philosophy. He believed we were a single soul split into two bodies. Sarah was a parasite trying to steal his half of the soul. He wasn't going to kill her, he claimed. He was going to excise her influence. But first, Elias smiled, and it was a rictus of madness. We need to realign our frequencies. The next 12 hours were a descent into hell. Elias had rigged the cabin with traps, tripwires, hidden cameras, speakers playing high-frequency whines. He made me play games, trivia about our friendship. If I got a question wrong, he would cut a piece of himself. Not me, himself. He sliced his palm when I forgot the date of our first concert. He burned his forearm when I couldn't recall the name of his first dog. "See," he wept, blood dripping onto the floorboards. "See how much I love you? I take the pain for us." It was psychological torture designed to break my empathy, to make me numb, but it only fueled a cold, hard rage. I needed to get to the basement. I needed a weapon. My chance came when the storm intensified, blowing out one of the boarded-up windows in the living room. The sudden crash distracted Elias. I grabbed the heavy iron poker from the fireplace and swung. I missed his head, hitting his shoulder. The bone crunched. He howled, not in pain, but in betrayal. "You hurt me! You hurt us!" He tackled me. We rolled through the glass and snow on the floor. He was stronger, fueled by adrenaline and psychosis. He pinned me, his hands around my throat. I looked into his eyes and saw nothing human, just a black void where my best friend used to be. "I have to fix you," he whispered, tightening his grip. My hand scrabbled on the floor, finding a shard of glass from the broken window. I didn't think. I jammed it into the side of his neck. A fountain of hot blood sprayed over my face, blinding me. Elias gurgled, his grip loosening. He fell back, clutching his neck, his eyes wide with shock. I scrambled up, gasping for air, wiping the blood from my eyes. Elias was thrashing on the floor, making wet, bubbling sounds. I didn't wait for him to die. I ran to the kitchen, tearing through the cupboards until I found the keys to the basement on a hook shaped like a deer's head. The basement door was hidden behind a bookshelf. I unlocked it and descended into the cool, damp earth. The smell of bleach was overpowering. "Sarah!" I screamed. I found her in a small concrete room. She was groggy, drugged, but alive. Her finger, God, her hand was a mess of blood and bandages. I untied her, sobbing, apologizing. She couldn't walk. I had to carry her. We made it up the stairs. The living room was empty. A trail of blood led out the open front door into the snow. Elias was gone. We couldn't take the Bronco. He had the keys. We had to run, into the woods, in the blizzard. The cold was a physical weight. I carried Sarah on my back, tromping through knee-deep snow. Every shadow looked like him. Every sound was his footstep. We needed to reach the main road, 5 miles away. After an hour, my legs were burning. Sarah was drifting in and out of consciousness. I stopped to rest under the shelter of a massive oak. That's when I heard it. The humming. Hum, hum, hum. He was tracking us, bleeding out, dying, but hunting.
I forced us to move. We reached a frozen creek. The ice was thin. We had to cross. I went first, testing the weight. It held. I went back for Sarah. Halfway across, a flashlight beam cut through the snow. Elias stood on the bank we had just left. He looked like a revenant, pale, soaked in blood, holding a hunting rifle. "Alex!" he screamed, his voice a ruined croak. "Don't leave me!" He raised the rifle. I threw myself over Sarah as the shot rang out. The ice beneath us shattered. We plunged into the freezing black water. The shock was instantaneous. The current grabbed us. I held on to Sarah's jacket with a death grip. We were tumbled under the ice, scraping against rocks. My lungs burned. I kicked, fought, clawed upward. We broke the surface downstream, gasping, coughing up water. We dragged ourselves onto the muddy bank. We were freezing. Hypothermia was minutes away, but Elias wasn't behind us. The river had carried us away from him. We stumbled through the woods for what felt like an eternity. Finally, headlights. A trucker on the remote logging road. He saw us. Two bloodied, freezing ghosts stumbling out of the tree line. Safe. We were safe. The police raided the lodge 3 hours later. They found the torture room. They found the jars. They detailed Elias's plan to surgically join us, to make us Siamese souls. But they didn't find Elias. They found a trail of blood leading to the edge of the ravine, and then nothing. They assumed he fell. They assumed the river took his body. Sarah survived. We got married a year later. She wears a prosthetic finger, a constant reminder. We moved to the city, got high security locks, a dog, a gun. We went to therapy. We tried to heal. But tonight, on our first anniversary, I woke up. The house was silent. Sarah was asleep beside me. I went to the bathroom to splash water on my face. I looked in the mirror. I looked tired, older. Then I saw it, written in the condensation on the mirror, in handwriting I knew better than my own. Happy anniversary. And behind me, in the reflection, the shower curtain slowly began to pull back.